Hi, Figgy. Hi, Bernie.
Hi, good,
Hi, Ellen. Good work.
good to see you.
Hi, Bernie. I don't hear you.
Me or Bernie?
No, Bernie.
Bernie, you're speaking, but nobody's hearing you. I see your mouth moving, but I don't hear what he's saying. I think he's going to try again.
Yeah. Let's see. Let's send.
Uh, hi, Bernie. I can't hear you. You're barely audible.
No sound. Unless you can read his lips.
Shavua Tov, everybody.
Shavua Tov. Hello. Bernie is in mute land.
No,
Maybe try from a different device.
Can you hear us?
No, we can't hear Bernie. I'm on with mute being off.
Yeah, but we can't hear you.
Can you hear Ernie?
Bernie, no.
As he hears all of us.
Oh, he can hear, so it's okay. So he won't talk.
We want his commentary and his questions. He's good.
Well,
Bernie, why don't you try
What's
it?
wrong with Bernie?
Bernie, we
All
can't
right.
hear you. Bernie,
Oh, he has to sign on and sign off.
he
again.
should use the phone, maybe.
Yeah.
Let's try again.
Faggy.
Oh, and now I think. Bernie?
Do it lower, lower the
Can you
volume.
hear me now?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, I turned on and off the microphone again. It's working now. Thank you.
Mario, does Barbara Klein know that we're learning at 7?
Yes, yes.
Where?
Thank
Can you
you.
like lower just a drop?
She also
I
asked if
sent-
we could send her the tape of last week's.
I did.
Thank you.
At the moment she asked for it, and I told her, reminded her about today.
Thank you.
Ernie, your Parsha Shir for the B'nai Kiva group was great.
Oh, thank you.
Oh,
Thank
thank
you, Faggy. Thank you very
Can you hear
much.
me?
No. Sorry. How was your weekend in Valley Village?
We're
Very
still
nice.
here, we're
Very,
here.
very warm, very warm.
Roasting away.
Actually, it was not bad at all.
Huh?
I didn't feel it. It was fine.
Walking home from shul must have been a challenge.
No, because there's no.
Walking to shul was not a problem, but walking home was.
Yeah.
So there's no.
Shavua Tov, everybody. Shavua Tov.
Walter,
Yeah.
good work, Walter.
Good work. Shavua Tov.
Oh,
Why are you jumping, Walter?
Here, the ID
I'm not
number.
jumping. I'm just putting my screen in the correct position, Mario.
I see. Okay.
Oh,
Nice
I see.
glasses.
I see. Oh, thank you.
Wow, look cool.
Thank you.
Volume. How do you do this lower a little bit? Just how do you lower?
Stop
down?
it.
No, too bad.
Mario,
Yeah,
our Barbara Klein is asking for our ID. It's 353, correct? 353-080-1275, correct?
correct.
Barbara Klein, he's just sending messages.
Okay, hopefully she can
Can
get
you show me
in.
all the people here?
How come it doesn't come on?
The only other person
She in?
doesn't participate.
Noch nicht.
No, because you told her, tell her 080, and you said 080.
080. Yeah, everybody does that.
353.
080, not 080. 080.
Yeah.
That's maybe why she can't get in. And then it's 544-663.
Enter that.
Okay.
663, right?
Mhm.
Yes. She knows because she gets the message for the
Harry,
whole group.
Do you have to give her permission to come in?
No,
Mhm.
Okay.
no.
Let's start. We're on Perek Chaf, Shmuel Aleph. Vayivrach David minayot barama. We left off last week's Perek that Shaul had come looking for David HaMelech because David had gone to the city of Shmuel Hanavi in Ramah, and they were in Nayot, which is like a suburb of Ramah. And here we go.
Yes,
Good. And all the various shluchim, including Shaul himself, began to prophesize. Vayavo vayomer lifnei Yonatan. And it doesn't seem that, remember, David HaMelech had asked Shmuel advice. What should he do? It doesn't seem that Shmuel gave him advice, or maybe the advice was to go talk to Yonatan. So therefore, David had a discussion with Yonatan. Vayomer lifnei Yonatan, ma asiti, what did I do? Me'avoni, what is my sin? Ma chatasi, lifnei avicha, ki mevakeshes nafshi. Why is your father trying to kill me? And why is he coming to Yonatan? So one of the Mefarshim explain that a chaver, good friend, is the one that's supposed to give you musar or to help you. like it says in Masechta Avos. What is the Rav Yochanan ben Zakkai asked his Talmidim, what's the best midah to have? Rav Yishua Omer Ayin Tova. And the Bartanura, the main Mefaresh on Pirkei Avos says, what is Ayin Tov? Chaver Tov. A chaver will tell you if you're not doing something correctly. He will be mochiachim. A good friend will know how to do it in a way that his friend will accept it. Rav Schwab actually gives, Rav Shimon Schwab actually gives this shot. That's why he's going to Yonatan at this time.
But why would he have questions? He knows that he was, that Shmuel anointed him. And he knows that he's supposed to be the next king, and he's going to take over the kingship from Shaul. Like, why does he even have a question as to why he's going to be?
But why? No, his question to Yonatan is, why is Shaul trying to kill him? What did I do? Is this can we dissuade Shaul from this? Or first he asked him, what did I do to Shaul? Or how can you explain why Shaul is after me to kill me?
He's going to replace him.
Mhm.
David is going to replace Shaul.
Shaul doesn't know that. Shaul doesn't know that David was Nimshach. And Shaul remember Shaul asked for David to come and play the harp for him. Shaul has revealed himself to want to kill him a few times. He threw the spear at him twice. He sent people to go take him from his house. So the question is going to be, we'll see if as we read the next psukim, Yehonatan is going to believe that it's because Shaul has these fits of melancholy, but that really in Shaul's heart he doesn't want to kill him.
Is it also possible at some point, wasn't David praised as far as the killings that he performed, and they were greater than those of Shaul? I think the praises were becoming so much more rampant, and perhaps, there was some shred of jealousy.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, the people would start saying Shaul with his thousands and David
Exactly.
with his thousands.
Right.
Exactly.
This is led to kina. But remember, we're talking about people like, these are great people, tzaddikim.
Yeah, totally.
Kina is not something that should cause somebody to want to kill a person. By the way, does anybody see a connection between the pasuk that David is now saying, Me'asiti, me'avoni, u'mochatasi lifnei avicha? Chazal see a connection to this.
When Shaul, when he has been confronted after he did not kill Amalek, and he's responding to Shmuel in that respect.
So there Shaul sort of feigns innocence.
Innocence, right?
What have I done? But Chazal in Breishis Rabbah see a comparison to the parsha that we learned this morning, Vayetze. It says, Vayichar Yaakov vayariv belavan. Right? Ma pishi machatasi ki dalakta acharai. Remember, Lavan chases after Yaakov, and eventually Yaakov confronts Lavan and says, "What have I done to you?" So it's the same language. Ma pishi machatasi. And in fact, Chazal see a praise of Yaakov and a little bit of a detriment to David in comparison. Rav Azariah b'shem Rav Chagiv Rav Yitzchak bar Moron kabd nenusan shalavos v'lo nenusan shalbanim. Yaakov had a lot of patience, more than the children, i.e. more than David. Where do we see the patience of Yaakov? Yaakov, divrei piyusim Yaakov mafaises chavav ki mishashtes kol kelai, that you touched all my vessels, mamansasi b'chol klei beisecha. That means Amrav Simon Benoik Shabo Elam Chasan Shudar Etzel Chamav, a son who lives by his son-in-law. Ef Shalo Shalolanos Afilu Kli Echad, Afilu Sakin Echad. You're always, a person's going to use a plate or a knife. But Yaakov claims he didn't use anything from Lavan. And Yaakov, even though he knows that Lavan is trying to kill him, like it says in Haggadah Shel Pesach, Lavan bikesh lakor sakol. Lavan wanted to destroy Yaakov. And so therefore he had a reason to fight Lavan. But he didn't come out to say the words that David did, which was kimavakeshes nafshi. He didn't say that, oh, Lavan, you're trying to kill me. But David HaMelech did say to the point, which is a statement of Ritzicha. So it's a time against David, even though he's being chased, and even though his life is threatened. You have to be very careful with the words you use. And Chazal show us the difference between Yaakov and the Avos. The Avos and the Banim.
This is also sort of a legacy between Rachel's children and what's it called, Leah's children, because he's Shaul is from Binyamin, and David is from
Yehuda.
Yehuda.
From Yehuda,
Yehuda.
right?
Yeah. Okay.
It seems to like hearken through the ages.
Well, we're going to see a little bit more of that later on in this parak.
Mhm.
This illusion that Ellen sees. Beis. Vayomer la Chalila lo samus. So Yonasan says, don't worry, chas v'shom that you're going to die. Hine lo yaseh avi davar gadol or davar katan. My father wouldn't do something big or small without telling me. Lo yigles ozni. I would know about it. Madua yastir avi mimeni es hadavar zeh ein zos. Can't be that my father would hide from me these plans. Remember, Shaul has already taken an oath to Yonasan that he's not going to kill David. So maybe you're going to think that Shaul went to a chacham. You know, anytime you make a shvua, you can go to Talmud Chacham, and you can have the chacham be matir the neder or the shvua. He can say to you, if you would have known this and this by making the shvua, would you have made it? He gives you a pesach to regret. And if you say, yes, I would not, if I would have known that these were the ramifications, he could be matir your shvua or your neder. So maybe you're going to say that he was matir that shvua, but that's the davar gadol, the davar katan. I would know if
I'm in the Navi Shmuel.
if Shaul, my father, would have done something, be matir neder. And the Radak asks, how could Yonasan tell David, oh, my father doesn't want to kill you? What do you mean? First of all, he himself was told by Shaul, you have to bring me David, I want to kill him. And he knew that Shaul had thrown the spear at him. And he had known that he had sent those shlichim to watch his house and to kill him. So again, here's where the Radak says, Yonasan was under the impression that the reason for David HaMelech doing all of this is because of his melancholia and his depression, and not because he really wanted to kill it. And then at other times, he would not want to kill him. But really, the truth was that Shaul wanted to kill him even without Ruach Ra. He just
So
didn't.
would you say, or so why isn't, so he's not being really honest with, with the, responding to David?
So that's why
by
Radak,
not,
so that's what the Radak asks on. The Radak asked the question. Yonasan knows that so the Radak answers that Yonasan thought that he really didn't want to kill David, that it was only in these periods of depression that he wants to. And
so
Yonasan was supporting him that, you know what, you can watch yourself, because if you know he's in a depressed mood, stay away from him and all of that. And
And he
therefore,
wants to he only wants to see the good in his father, so.
Yonasan thought that they could maneuver around this, but really the truth
Mhm.
was, like you're saying, Shaul really wanted to kill him from his heart.
Mhm.
And the reason he didn't show it maybe in front of Yonasan, because he took a shvuah to Yonasan. He didn't want to depress Yonasan.
Mhm.
And that's why Yonasan right now is still questioning. And they're going to go through a whole procedure that this parak is going to describe how Yonasan is finally going to be convinced that his father does want to kill David.
So Ernie, last week when we had the previous parak, one of the Mefarshim said it's really he felt torn between Kibbud Av V'Aim and love for David HaMelech. So he's probably partially in denial or not, or just wanting to see good for his father. So just as Barbara is saying, he didn't believe that David would that Shaul would carry out.
Yeah, that's you're giving an emotional answer, and a son always wanting to look good in his father. So Gimel, Vayishava o David.
Shaul wasn't David's father.
What was that?
Yonasan's father.
Vayishava o David. Vayomer yado yada avicha. Ki matzasa chen minecha. So David is a very smart psychologist. David tells Yonasan, listen, your father knows that we're best friends. So David, in fact, tells Yonatan, your father is concealing this from you. Pen yeyotsev. He doesn't want to depress you. He doesn't want to make you upset. You should know that there are only footsteps between me and death when it comes to me and your father. He understood Baruch HaKodesh, or through Shmuel, because he went to get advice from Shmuel, that Shaul is not going to stop chasing him to kill him until his death. And so therefore, David is giving Yonasan reasons for why his father is not showing it to him. Now, another question that the Meforshim ask, normally tzaddikim do not take oaths. They don't take shuas in general. The Ran wonders, David is tzaddik, halok shem nimnoim lishava. Yesh loymar, the davar zeh davar shel nefashos. This is a life and death matter. So David told Yonasan in language of Shua, because he didn't realize, David recognized that Yonasan is not seeing the error in Yonasan's ways in terms of seeing truly what Shaul's real feelings are towards him. And therefore, he needed to use a Lashon Shvua to make Yonasan believe him, or to just show how the gravity of the situation. So says Yonasan, Pasuk Dalid, Vayomer Yonasan David, Ma tomar nafshecha v'esalach. Okay, I'm prepared to do whatever you want to do. So what's the plan? So Pasuk K, Vayomer David el Yonasan, Hinei chodesh machar. Tomorrow's Rosh Chodesh. Normally, I would be called to sit with the Melech at the festive table to eat. But you know what? I'm going to hide here in the field for the next 3 days. Well, today is the day that they're talking. The next day will be Rosh Chodesh. We'll see. And then the third day will be either the second day of Rosh Chodesh or the next day, meaning tomorrow, if the Eidim don't come, it'll be the day before Rosh Chodesh. The third day will be Rosh Chodesh. See, the Jewish calendar is a lunar cycle. Months are either 29 days months or 30-day months. In fact, the Moiled is 29.5 and Chalokim. So that's why half the months of the year are 29-day months, half the months of the year are 30-day months. They used to be Makadosh L'Chodesh through Eidim that came to the Beis Din in Yerushalayim. And let's say today is the 30th day, the Eidim would show up and say, last night we saw the new moon. So therefore, today is Rosh Chodesh. And last month is closed as a 29-day month, and today is Rosh Chodesh. If the Eidim don't show up, at all on the 30th day. So automatically the next day becomes Rosh Chodesh. And the previous month was a 30-day month, and tomorrow is Rosh Chodesh. So we're going to see there's a debate later on we're going to have between Rashi and the Ritva versus whether that year, in terms of what we're talking about, was it a 2-day Rosh Chodesh? It was only a 1-day Rosh Chodesh, like we have. But anyways, the plan is David is going to stay away, and they're going to have a meal for 2 days. Maybe the first day, my absence will not be recognized, but by the second day, my absence will be recognized. And then we're going to do, then we'll do the test, as the pasuk is going to tell us what this Shaul's reaction is going to be to my absence. Before we go on, I saw something very beautiful from that. What's going on? Why did David HaMelech here connect this whole episode to Rosh Chodesh? Why did he think Rosh Chodesh might help the situation? As you know, this parak we read in the Haftorah when the following day, for example, if Rosh Chodesh is Sunday, so we read on Shabbos the Haftorah of Mochar Chodesh. We haven't gotten to the pasuk yet that begins the Haftorah, but we will soon. So when tomorrow is Rosh Chodesh, we read this Haftorah, this parak of Mochar Chodesh. And there's a reason that Rav Schwab, again, the Morda Asra of the Yekesha Kehila in Washington Heights, has a beautiful thought on this, that Rosh Chodesh was considered a yontif. We're going to see very soon that women didn't do malacha on Rosh Chodesh. Men did, but not women. It was a special yontif for women, because women didn't give their jewelry to the Egel Hazav. So as a special reward, women have a special inyan on Rosh Chodesh connected to them. But anyways, in general, it was considered a yontif. Special korban was brought on Rosh Chodesh. Says Rav Schwab, "Lo haysa rak simcha shel gashmiut shel achila v'shtia, ela haya davar ruchani." This isn't just a physical having, steak and scotch or wine, eating and drinking. This was something spiritual. Sherosh Chodesh haya yom shel hitchatshut. Rosh Chodesh was a time to renew oneself. Haya efsharut az lekol bal nefesh lalot b'mala haruchaniyot shelo. A person who was concerned about his soul would use Rosh Chodesh as a means of elevating his soul. So maybe David HaMelech thought, Shaul, Afsheba Avar Vaday Hayrotzel Argeni, even though in the past Shaul wanted to kill me. Achshav, La'achar shePapa im Shmuel Visnabe. Shaul has just come back from an experience with Shmuel HaNavi where he was prophesizing, like we learned last week. The Gamu Rosh Chodesh, and of course it's Rosh Chodesh. Efshar shehu yizke v'yichadish es atzmo. Maybe Shaul will become a new man. V'yeh kemo shaya ba'avar v'lo yirtzeh sular geni. He wouldn't, and he doesn't want to kill me. It's a beautiful thought. That's why David understood that tomorrow's Rosh Chodesh, and maybe he'll change. Maybe he'll change, and maybe this thought won't be the same. He also brings from the Sforno. The Sforno was before on the Torah. He was a doctor, and he lived in Italy in like the 1500s. And he of course must have known astronomy, and that the moon only gets its light from the sun. It doesn't have its own energy, and that's a remez. Hatzlachat Yisrael ba'olam hazeh hu b'tzad madome le'inyan hayareach asher ein la ba'atzma or klal zulati ma shetekabel mizulata. A Jew has to always think that he's somebody, he gets all of his nourishment from Hashem, just like the moon gets its light reflected from the sun. And there's an Indian of Kapora on Rosh Chodesh. They brought a Seir Lechatis because the Or Halavana was reduced. And it's part of this Indian that was, it's a time of Kapora. Zman Kapora K'tei Lechadei Shuv et Or Shekibli Yisrael Yadei Tshuva Ma'asim Tovim. So again, I think the Sforno is alluding that maybe David hopes that the experience of Rosh Chodesh will help Shaul HaMelech with his problems that he's had with him before.
Isn't there a very
Yes.
powerful connection between David HaMelech and Rosh Chodesh? Anyway, when the men say,
David
Lavana.
Melech Yisrael Chai V'Kayam.
right, David HaMelech as the meat of Malchus and all that is embodied in the moon as representing the whole Jewish people. So maybe the Yontif of Rosh Chodesh is a time of let's call it ascendant koach to David. And he's hoping that could be like a time that would be mesugal for him.
Correct. In fact, the waxing and the waning of the moon is what David HaMelech is compared to. Because as we know, David HaMelech has ascendancy and descendancy. He's chaste, he has tsaris, Shaul chases him, Avshalom chases. So the waxing and the waning of the moon is the simon of David HaMelech. And because we wait for the Mashiach, who is a descendant of David, so we also, Klal Yisrael's fortunes are up and down, like the moon.
No, it's also the fact that the moon, as you just said, it does not give off light of its own. It's just the faithful reflector of the sun, and that's the Malchus, Leis Le Megar Meklum. That's what a Melech is. He has nothing of himself. He's a reflector of
the people. Of the people.
And in case of David HaMelech, he's a reflector of HaKadosh Baruch Hu onto the people.
Right, and also the Melech, like David, is supposed to be humble. He's supposed to be. He's supposed to, as you say, understand that all of his koach is from Hashem.
Beautiful.
Love. Im pakot yifkedeni avicha, ve'amarta nishol mimeni David larutz Beit Lechem iro. If Shaul asks, "Where's David?" So you'll say, he had to go home to Beit Lechem. Ki zevach hayamim sham l'chol hamishpacha. That there was a family minhag to do once an annual year. Minagam lasot zevchei shlamim b'nei hamishpacha yom b'shana. The Ralbag says that some kind of nace that was done to them, and they would make a Suda every year. And says the Ralbag, Efshar, da'asu mishpachat Yishai Suda ze b'yom hashana shenimshach David al yidei Shmuel l'chol hamishpacha. That he actually came to represent like a Suda Sodah on the anniversary of the nace when Shmuel came to anoint David. I've had a personal connection to this concept. My first cousin, Chanoch Karniol, lives in Antwerp, and his brother-in-law, Gilbert Weil, was in Entebbe. And I visited, on my way to Israel in 1977, I stopped off in Antwerp, and it was the day, so July 4th, 1976, was when they were rescued. And Gilbert Weil and his wife were the Belgian couple that were on the plane. The reason we know that because the terrorists, he showed them, I have a Belgian passport. He says, no, you're a Jew. You go along with the Jews. So, and again, the movie that they made, whatever. So they were the Belgian couple that were on that. And there was a Rebbe in Antwerp. He was known Rebitzikel. Bernie and Walter, and they know him because in the diamond business, the diamond merchants in Antwerp would bring the diamonds to Rebitzikel. They would rub them with garlic, with knobbel, and that was some kind of skula that they would be able to sell their diamonds easily. Anyways, Rebitzikel told Gilbert Weil that every year on the anniversary of your saving, you should make a Suda Sodah, and at every Suda, you should reveal something new that you didn't reveal previously, like a Haggadah, just like we sit, and by the Seder, we reveal something about the about in this Yetzias Mitzrayim, we try to do new things every year. He was told the same thing. You have to make a Suda Sodah on the day that you were saved, and you have to reveal something new. So the Ralbag says that this annual dinner was done by Yishai's family, perhaps to recognize the fact that Shmuel was Nimshachim b'Shem HaMishra. Zion. Im Kol Yomar. So now we're back to the message that David and Yonasan are working out between them.
Ernie, can I just ask, so I'm assuming that it was court protocol that everybody needed to be at the king's palace for Rosh Chodesh.
We're going to get there, so it's a very good question. We're going to see when we get to the Suda, I think we'll talk about that a little bit more in detail. Now remember, even if it wasn't Rosh Chodesh, David HaMelech was playing the harp for Shaul on a regular basis.
For his melancholia.
And he was living in that palace. Remember that now he had his own house, but it could be that it was even on non-Rosh Chodesh, David HaMelech would be there.
Right.
Now, so David is going to make himself scarce for a number of days, and Shaul is going to notice his absence. So Pasuk Zayin, Im Ko Yomar, Tov Shalom Avdecha. Shaul says, that's okay. Im Charo Yechrel Oda Ki Chal Sara Meimo. If that's what he says, that he's really not concerned about it, you shall know that Shaul doesn't have it out for you anymore. And he's not, and therefore you're safe, and he's not trying to kill you. But but if he gets angry or he acts in an unusual way, then you should know that he wants to kill you. So that's the plan they're working out. Ches. Yonasan now reminds David, Vasita chesed al avdecha. Ki vivris Hashem evesus avdecha imach. And David asked Yonasan, we've made a covenant with each other. Please do me this chesed. And he goes to this extent. Im yesh bi avon, if you yourself see in me some kind of sin that I did towards your father, hamiteni, kill me, ata, va'adavicha lamazet v'yeni, and you don't have to worry about bringing me to your father. If you don't, he's trying to point out to him that if you don't give me this information, it's as if you're killing me. Says Pasuk Tes, Vayomer Yonasan Chalil Lecha, Kim Yadoa Eda Ki Chasara Mimavi Lavo Alecha V'lo Osagila. Chas v'sholom, if I know that my father wants to kill you, I'm going to tell you immediately. Vayomer David El Yonatan, Mi Yagidli, O Mayan Kavicha Kasha. If your father has answered you in a harsh way, and he wants to kill me, how are you going to let me know this information? What's going to be our signal? There's a danger. Even Yonasan being seen with David is dangerous. So Yud Aleph. Vayomer Yonatan al David, L'cha v'neitzei hasadeh, v'yitzu shneim hasadeh. So Yonasan advised them, let's go out into the field. They both went out into the field. So there's a Gemara in Brachas, Ches Amud Beis, Tanya, Amar Rabbi Akiva, B'shloisha dvarim ohev ani es hamadoyim. In 3 ways, I approve of what the Medes do, the Persians and the Medes. The Medes were the people who took over from the Persians. When they give advice, they go out into the field. What's the source? Amar Vada Barava Maikra. Also, this week's parsha. Vaishlach Yaakov Vaikra LaRachel v'Leah Hasadeh El Tzono. Hare she'en l'daber dvarim sodiim b'makom shebnei adam yuchlu l'shamam. Be careful where you tell secrets. Out in the field is one of the places to do it, so nobody else can hear. Pasuk Yud Beis. Vayomer Yonatan al David, Hashem Elokei Yisrael, ki echkor et avi ka'et machar shlishit, v'hinei tovel David, v'lo az eshlach ilecha v'galita zaznecha. That in 3 days, after I investigate my father, if everything is good and there's no problem, I will call you into the city directly. I don't have to send any secrets or anything like that because there's not going to be any danger for you to come into the city. Ko yaseh Hashem liYonatan v'cho Yosif, ki eitiv elavi et hara'a alecha. But if my father's going to reveal that he wants to kill you, v'galiti et aznacha v'shlachticha v'lachta l'shalom. I'm going to send a messenger to you, and I will allow you to go in peace. V'hi Hashem imach kasher haya im avi. And Hashem will be with you. V'lo imodeni chai, v'lo ta'aseh imadi chesed Hashem, v'lo anmut. He gives other future things. Perhaps some of the Meforshim speculate that David has now revealed to Yonasan that he was Nimshach B'Shem HaMishcha, and that if I'm alive, when you rule and you become king, our bris, our covenant between each other will remain. And because Yonasan might think that if he can't change his father's mind, maybe David will think bad about him. And since he was not Matzliach, so he wanted to solidify their covenant together, that Chas v'Sholem would ever go away from the love that they have between each other. Now they make a bris that forever David will treat his family well. V'lo b'achrit Hashem et oivei David ish me'al pnei ha'adama. And here Chazal learn oivei David really means David himself, meaning if David doesn't fulfill the bris, then David will get into trouble as well. It means if David doesn't fulfill this, it could be a problem. And that's why it says, Vayichrot Yonatan in Beit David u'vikesh Hashem miyad oivei David.
Ernie, does this imply that Yonatan may have known that Shmuel had already told David that all descendants of Shaul would be eventually put to die, and so that there'll be no future Malchus coming from Shaul?
I think, remember, whenever you have issues with succession, think about the Shakespearean plays, Richard III, where immediately when someone comes to the throne, he kills out all the other, heirs that potential could come from other brothers, et cetera, et cetera. So perhaps this is in that vein that Yonatan is thinking, this is my friend, he's going to be the king. This covenant should protect my family because sometimes kings come into play and they try to wipe out any potential threats to the reign. But
possibly also David and Yonatan had they were like soulmates or brothers, right? Yes. So perhaps David I don't think so, but perhaps he revealed some or hinted to Yonatan that what would happen.
Not what happened, but that's why the Meforshim here discuss Efshar sheDavid Amar lo ba'ada Mashiach shemashchul Shmuel. We don't have any evidence at this point that Yonatan knew anything about David HaMelech being Nimshach, but perhaps this is revealed by David here. Therefore, Yonatan now is concerned, and not only that, but since Yonatan is not going on a mission to try to find out what's going on with Shaul, and maybe David, wants Yonatan to try to dissuade Shaul from killing him, and could Yonatan may have in his mind, well, if I don't succeed, David's going to hold that against me. And holding it against me means holding it against my family as well. So that's why the Meforshim say he wanted to have this bris. Says Rashi, Kana kosu v'kavnaso Isal David. This oive David means David. Bikesh HaKadosh Baruch Hu sa'avim miyad David kisha'avar labris. V'omer lemipiboshes ata v'tziva tachliku esasodeh. Yatis abasko v'omer achavam v'yiravim yichalkus amalchus. Later on in Shmuel Beis, God willing, Yonasan's son is Mepiboshes. And there's going to be a Maisa of the Givonim, and all of Shaul HaMelech's progeny are going to have to be killed, except for Mepiboshes. But even then, he doesn't treat Mepiboshes fully well. He divides the Yerusha Mepiboshes with somebody else, with Siva. David HaMelech is punished for that because he broke this bris that he made, that he was going to treat Yonasan's children well. And since there was a little thing that he didn't treat him well, just like David divided up the Yerusha of Mepiboshes with Siva, so Shlomo's son Rechavam is going to have to divide the Malchus with Yeravam. Wow.
Wow.
And I want to learn this a little bit more. Shabbos nun vavam beis. Rav Svirale the Kibul David Lashon Hara bezeh. Bezeh she'omer lo tziva mepiboshes. Later on in that story over there, Tziva is someone who's going to come and report on Mepiboshes. Hinei yoshev Yerushalayim. Ki amar hayom yashivu li beit Yisrael et mamlachut avi. That he's reporting that Mepiboshes is saying, today I'm going to get the kingdom back. The Omar Od, the Bishash Omar David le Mepiboshes, atavet Siva tachalkus asadeh. When David says to Mepiboshes, you and Siva are going to divide the field, Yatsa Baskal Varmalo Rechavam Vyarm Yachlukas Amlucha. Nimtza the Chalukas Amachus. According to the Gemara, David should not have accepted this tale of Tziva about what Mepiboshes might have or might not have said. And the breaking up of the Malchus is a punishment for receiving Lashon Hara. Now, Shmuel HaNavi, who writes this sefer, the Musar Navim says, Shmuel Svirle, the Lochata David Bezeh. No, that there, later on in Shmuel Beis, there's no Lashon Hara there. Ki dvarma nikarim hu beidichsiv. He saw directly, didn't need Lashon Hara, because it said, Mepiboshes ben Shol yard likras hamelech, v'lo asas famov gadav lo kabaz. That when Mepiboshes went to greet David HaMelech, he hadn't shaved and he hadn't washed his clothes. So right away he sees that Mepiboshes is unhappy that David HaMelech had returned from wherever David was. The Od, he was waiting that when Klal Yisrael returns him to becoming the king, then he's going to take a shave and get dressed up nicely. So therefore, Shmuel HaNavi is understanding that it's not that he received Lashon Hara about it. He saw with his own eyes. Nimsa shelo kibel Lashon Hara. Lefi divrei Shmuel shapir amru. Shmuel meaning not Rav and Shmuel in the Gemara. Shmuel argues with Rav. So Nimsa shelo kibel Lashon Hara. Lefi divrei Shmuel shapir amru kan lekach neflech hamakuso. That's why the Rashi, who brings the Mida Keneged Mida of the fact that that David didn't fulfill the bris that he made with Yonasan, that's why the Malchus divided. Mishum sh'aisa shvua ben David v'Yonasan shelo yaseh shemro l'banav v'haya asur lo lasos shemonesh v'av shehu bei dvarim hanikarim shechashav b'davar chazras Malchus aval harei hema yu rak dvarim shemachshava Wasn't clear that maybe Boshitz was going to take the crown. Shein Roylan, and he shouldn't be punished for that. Therefore, it's clear it's related to the breaking of the Shvua that Yonasan and David made with each other, that David should not do anything to harm Yonasan's children. So Pasuk Yud Zayin. Vayosef Yonasan lashbias David babasol so kiavas nafsho ahevo. And therefore they were mashbia to each other again because of their great friendship. We know that Pirkei Avos says, "Kol ava sheitluya b'dover batel." Batel dover batla ava. Any love for something that's connected to a specific item where you might benefit from it, and the love of it is because of the item. If the item is gone, there's not going to be any love. She'ena tluya b'dover eina batel lo'olam. Ezu ava tluya b'dover zu ava avas anam the tamar, which was involved lust. V'she'ena tluya b'dover zu avas David Yonasan. It was g'dola b'midaso kavas av leben she'ef shartis batel. The friendship between them was like a father and son, that you can't, that no matter what a son does, the father will always love the son. Pasuk Yud Ches. And this is where the Haftorah that we read on Machar Chodesh begins. Vayomer lo Yonasan Machar Chodesh. V'nifkadeta ki paked moshavecha. Tomorrow's Chodesh, and now your place is going to be recognizable by my father if you're not there. What's the difference, says the Malbim, between Pekida and Zechira? It says, Vashem pokad esara kasherma. We learn that on Rosh Hashanah. It also means remember. Hashem remembered Sarah. Says the Malbim, Yesh hevdel ben zecher ben pokad. Shapkuda yitamid lasos lo ezadavar. The Pekud is like an order. First it said, Sarah ishtacha yoledes l'chabein. That's an amira. The zenit kayim be'eit shapagda lite la'iroyon. The Pekida in a stam zechira machshava. Pekida is not just remembering. Ela zechira al yedei maisa. Shenatnu l'sar ha'irayon. So Pekida is through a maisa. And we're going to see now the maisa that occurs regarding the lack of David coming to the dinner. Says Yonasan Yutes v'shilashta tered me'od. Wait for the 3 days and go and hide. Uvata l'makom asher nistarta sham b'yom ha'maiseh v'yashavta eitzel ha'evan ha'ezel. Sit next to the stone, the marker stone. Some say it was used as target practice. Some say it's people who traveled on the roads. There would be decorations to tell people which direction to go. The Yom HaMaseh, Rashi and the Malbim learn that today it was a day of work. It was not. It was the day before Rosh Chodesh. On Rosh Chodesh, they didn't do work. So we're talking about today. Tomorrow's Rosh Chodesh, and the third day will be the third day. And Rashi says, Rosh Chodoshim ein bo bitul melacha kol kach, she'ein anoshim oisos melacha behen. Men go out in the field, but women don't. V'ochinami aminim v'sech Rosh Hashanah gabi masuos. Mishum bitul melacha la'am shnei yomim. V'shomati b'pi mori hazaken zichron levracha, shenitna lahem mitzvah zu b'shvil shelo pirku nizmeim be'egel. That why do women not work on Rosh Chodesh? Because they didn't give zeskar to them, that they didn't give their jewelry for the egel. And in Toisvus there, Animotzati, the B'rais of Rabbi Eliezer, Shamu Anoshim, the Larotzu Litin Izmael Balam. The women didn't want to give their jewelry to their husbands. You want to build an idol that has no power to save. Women were given in this world a reward. That women keep Rosh Chodesh more than the men. But the Ritva says that Bein Anoshim and Bein Lanoshim, they neither of them did work. What's the next pasuk? Pasuk Chav. Anish shloshes achitzim tzida orel shalach li lamatara. I'm going to fire 3 arrows towards the target. That's going to be our signal. Why 3 arrows? The Malbim says it has to do. It relates to lashon hara, because 3 people are. The Gemara in Erechim says lashon tlisai kotel tlisai. Lashon hara is the 3-way thing. Somebody says the lashon hara to somebody, and somebody overhears it, or it's about somebody, and therefore 3 people are killed. Hareg lemisapro, lemakablo, ulaomro. The one who is misaper it, the one who receives it, the one who says it. So that's the remez of the 3 arrows. And what does that have to do with Shaul? Because it says he's in the heart of Shaul, he had all these bad thoughts about David HaMelech. Now, what's the signal? Vinei shlachat hanar, I have a young boy with me, and I will tell him, Lech mitzas achitzim, go find the arrows. If I yell out, the arrows are between you and me, and go and get them, that's the siman to David, because he's going to hear me call out to you that there's no danger and you can come back. But Chavbeis, if I call out to the nar, you know what? The arrows are beyond you. They're further from you. That's the siman that it's bad, and you have to run away. And Yonasan is Messiah, and this will remain between us forever. Okay, Chavdalet, Vayisater David Basadeh, Vayia Chodesh, Vayeshev HaMelech El Alechem Lechol. And everyone comes. For the Rosh Chodesh to sit by the Seudah, according to Rav Schwab. Other people say it was the day before Rosh Chodesh. Vayeshev HaMelech Al Moshavo Kepam B'fam Moshav Akir. Shaul HaMelech's place is right next to the wall. Why is that? So again, Rav Schwab says he was always afraid that David's going to come and kill him. So by having your back to the wall and looking forward, you're going to protect yourself, because he's always afraid that someone's going to come behind him. So here, Rashi explains that they used to recline like we do by Pesach on sofas. And David HaMelech used to have the place right to the right of Shaul. Why? There's a din. A father cannot lie down in an oska spritzed away like that in front of his father. So David used to take that place. And in this case, David is not there. So he made sure Avner, who was the general under Shaul, to sit in the place of David. And then he sat next to Avner. Rashi says, "Eina derech haben lios meisev etzel aviv." So the question is, a lot of people ask, so who was the normal place there? David, we said, is normally would be next to Shaul. But what about Kavod Chamav? Just like we have a din of Kibud Av Va'em, we have the din of Kibud of our father-in-law and our mother-in-law. So the way Rashi is learning, how is it permitted that David HaMelech could lie there on that sofa, like Rashi seems to suggest David HaMelech did all them? So the source of the din of Kibud of your father-in-law is from the Medrash Shoicher and Tilim, Chayav Adam B'Chavod Chamav, that a person is chayiv to honor his father-in-law. And in Yoredeya, Reish Mem, and the Shach says, so how do we explain Rashi? If you say Yesh Loimar, the after also ben lasav etzel aviv, aval chosam etzel chamiv mutter. Just if a son is not allowed, but a son-in-law is allowed. De'ein dargat chiyuv kvod chamoso do melech kvod aviv. The degree that you have to honor your father-in-law is not the same as honoring your father. A woman is also chayav to honor her in-laws as well. Same way. Okay, so David is not in his place. Pasuk Chavav. V'lo diber Shaul mu'uma bayamahu, ki amar mikrehu, bilti tahorhu, ki lo tohor. Wow. Couldn't he say tamehu? So from here we learn a very important din. Lo yotzi adam davar meguna mipiv. It says in Psachim, Armi b'Yeshua ben Levi, lo olam hayotzi adam davar meguna mipiv. Persons shouldn't say nivul pesh. Shouldn't say even the word tameh, as opposed to saying lo tahor, even though every letter of Tanakh is holy. Look how many words were added here. Mikrahu, bilti taru, ki lo tahor. Instead of just saying the word tameh. We learn it from other places. Shenemar, mina be'ema Torah, umina be'ema asher einena Torah. Instead of saying a be'ema tmeya, it says asher einena Torah. Rav Papa Omar, Tesha. It's more letters, not 8 letters. Shenemar, ki yebecha ish, asher lo yeh tahor mikra laila. And Rav Acha bar Yaakov Omar, sheis esrei. From our pasuk tonight, Shenemar, ki Omar mikrehu bilti tahorhu ki lo tahor. So says the Gemara, Shaul shai b'matzav shel pachad. Shaul was always terrified that David HaMelech is going to kill him. Because he's got this evil spirit from Hashem. He was ready to kill David. Yet Shaul HaMelech was careful not to say a bad word. Look how much Rabbi Schwab, of course, brings all of this, because he was someone who saw a lot of Musar in all of the Nevi'im, and how much we can learn in terms of our language from this pasuk. Shaul is thinking maybe David HaMelech is not Tohor, and that's why he didn't come. Now, what do you have to eat b'tahara? Remember, a me'ikar adin, so if you eat korbanos, if you eat a shlamim, so then of course you have to be tor. But if you eat regular chulin, you don't have to be tor to eat chulin. So there was, though, an extra stringency called chaverim. A chaver would eat even his regular food b'tahara. We have to think that on the level of Shaul and David HaMelech, they were people who ate their food b'tahara. And that's why if he was not Torah, had not gone to the mikvah, he would not have been able to come to the meal. And that's what Shaul is thinking, maybe why he's not here today. Pasuk Chav Zayin. Vayimim acharasa chodesh hasheni. Vayipaked makom David. Again, Avner is sitting. It's 9 o'clock. It's 8:02, and that's okay. We won't finish tonight because it goes on quite a bit. But we will do Perek Chaf Aleph as well next week. We'll finish this Perek of Machar Chodesh, and we'll do the Chaf Aleph.
I have
Any comments or arrows on anything else
Yeah.
we've learned tonight?
Yeah, it occurs to me, maybe it's an observation, I don't know if it's really a question, but isn't this very atypical for Navi or even in Torah to go through such detail of all of these little conversations that everybody's having? And this is not like typically the way Torah and Navi usually, they don't go into such deep detail when it comes to explaining a situation. Isn't this a little atypical?
You know, we've been learning a lot of different dinim, musar from some of these, what seemingly are, as you say, conversations, but there's a lot to learn from them. Yes, there's many examples where the Torah is extremely, or Navi is, there's a lot of brevity. But this is something that the Navi wants to reveal to us for all the various reasons, and we should all be thinking different. We should bring our own thoughts as well to what we can make of this. Obviously, everything is written down for a reason. If it wasn't written down for posterity, Hashem wouldn't want us, to read it. So it is a little atypical, but in the places where the Meforshim, that at least some of which we learned tonight, point out the various things that we might learn from some extra words or extra psukim that normally wouldn't be there.
Because I was listening to Rabbi